Hello my friends and welcome, my name is Dennis and this is the latest update from Ukraine. Let's go straight to the Kursk Oblast because there are some of the changes near Novo-Ivanovka. It seems like, after all, sending the capable forces helped Ukraine to get more ground. Well, at least we have this military map update from the NOILA reports, and they say that Ukraine performs the counterattack near Zelony Shlach. I think I should zoom out a little for you to see everything. So the part of the Novo-Ivanovka was again taken by Ukraine. Zelony Shlach is the main settlement in this entire battlefield. Whoever controls this crossroad controls logistics, especially during the cold period of the year. So initial information coming that both Zelony Shlach and Novo-Ivanovka in Kursk region have come under Ukrainian army control and Russians were repelled. But at this stage, NOILA report says, and I also would say, that we need more confirmation. Yes, it is quite logical for Ukraine to counterattack there just right now. There is the great risk for the Russian forces to be trapped in the place. They thought that they could briefly manage to go inside Ukrainian controlled territory very fast, but that didn't work for them, so they occupied Novo-Ivanovka before they were repelled from the place, and now Ukraine strikes once again with a counterattack. What I know for sure that the battle there is ongoing, but the outcome result is yet unknown by 100%. Hopefully Ukrainian army is definitely successful in Zelony Shlach and Novo-Ivanovka. It's been a long time since Ukraine regained control over some of the settlements. And also we may say that the Ukrainian government is definitely oriented to keep the presence on the Russian territory in the Kursk region. Zelensky told that they are looking for two of the variants in the Kursk region. First is the tactical military one, which is happening already, and the second is the diplomatic variant. I wonder what does it mean? Well, probably they want to exchange the Kursk Oblast for something, but I guess Putin is not willing to do it. Guys, sorry, because of the censorship of this platform, I cannot show you the real combat images, but it seems like I found a solution using the artificial intelligence. I'm producing the videos already for a very long time, and this process is not that simple as it might look. First, you need to come out with idea based on the news, then create the script, film the video, edit everything, and later on publish. Because it takes lots of the time and efforts, I was looking for the possible variants to simplify my daily job. At first, my thought was to hire some people for CGI effects, editing, and so on. But you know, I found a tool based on the artificial intelligence. It is called Nvidia AI. And this tool is capable to generate the videos based on the prompt. So you basically put the text and you receive a ready-to-go project. We are now on Nvidia AI platform and I may write any sort of the prompt. Make a 1-minute video about Russia-Ukraine war and let's check it out.
In February 2022, the world watched as Russian forces crossed the border. The international community reacted swiftly, but on the ground, the reality was brutal. Cities that once buzzed with life became battlegrounds, and then in a heartbeat, everything changed.
Well, here you also may check out the voices and you may upload your own voice for the storytelling on your videos. And I don't need to hire anyone anymore. Everything of that is possible because of the artificial intelligence. This technology opens the new horizons not just for YouTubers but also for journalists and storytellers. I mean, you can tell about any sort of the topic and immediately you have the result. I just changed my background for the artificial mate, awesome for the storytelling. It really opens the new boundaries. Probably heard about the similar engines as Sora AI, but Sora is closed now for the public access. But Nvidia AI is open and I can use it every time I want. Also, the version 3 is coming very soon and it will be even more powerful. It is very simple to use, accessible, and allows everyone to create their own unique content. And you may try to create any sort of the video content yourself, whether you're a professional or a beginner. You can try it out with the current version even for free using my personal link in the video description just below. Or with a paid plan, just $20 per month, you'll access all the capabilities of this really powerful tool. You can also use my promo code to get 2 times more video generation credits for the first month. So guys, again, please don't forget to check the link for this awesome product. Nvidia AI, thank you so much for sponsoring this video. You know guys, we all know that Russians took initiative on the front lines. They are attacking attacking, but I was quite surprised seeing this counteroffensive maneuver performed by Ukrainian army near Pobeda village. Well, I think that it is just a limited operation performed by Ukrainian soldiers in attempt to evacuate some of the Ukrainian forces. Yes, Russians moved very fast in this place, so Ukrainians could stay on some of the Russian-occupied territories. In general, unfortunately, this counteroffensive will not change the picture on the front lines. And Russia will continue to advance. As you see, for the last day, they've took lots of the ground and a very important height here. So for this year, it's quite a real task for Russia to occupy Kurakhova and this entire region. Plus, obviously, Pokrovsk, they advanced from Selidova already, and you can see this attack vector very close to the settlement. But what Ukraine does quite successfully, that it performs the strikes on the Russian-controlled territory. For example, this is the Russian air defense system, a sophisticated one S-300 or maybe even S-400. It is the radar, so antenna. It was kaboomed with the help of the long-range cluster munition ATACMS missile. It caused the fire of the track and the antenna was significantly damaged. The Russian military bloggers say that it is no-go. Just imagine what Ukraine could do in case our allies had given Ukraine a green light to use ATACMS on the Russian territory with the maximum range of it. Throughout the war, Russia definitely lost lots of the air defense systems. The HIMARS system is very effective, that's why our friends from Poland ordered hundreds of those. The last year they signed the general agreement for the option of 486 units. 486. It is the enormous fleet of the HIMARS systems. But again, it is the optional general contract. But what we know for now, that Poland is now negotiating with the United States of the supplyment of the first 100 units. It will be done probably even this year. The last year Poland obtained 18 of the HIMARS systems and it is ready to get more. I wish Ukraine obtained more units of the system or any sort of the weapon. Ukraine crucially needs weapons. You know, we all speak about the possible ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine, peace agreements and so on. Well, I guess Russia one more time responded on that with no answer. The representative of the Russian Federation in United Nations, Nebeza, said that there will be no Minsk-like agreements with Ukraine. He also added that Russia is determined to reach its goals in Ukraine, including demilitarization of Ukraine and denazification. Plus, Ukraine will never join NATO because Russia simply will not allow it to happen. Also, Nebeza continued to blame Ukraine for everything, so the standard Russian propaganda, but again it shows that Russia is not determined to cease fire or agree on something right now. Putin thinks that he is capable to reach his goals using the military power. And definitely now Russia is successful on the front lines, taking the ground with higher pace, but it will not continue for a long time. It's just impossible without the new mobilization in Russia. Unpopular step among the Russian society, but Russians might do it. And in that case, it doesn't really matter how many of the Ukrainian soldiers are going to be mobilized because Russia has more population. And judging on what I see, they're really determined to go all in. I mean, for the long period of time, they want to push Ukraine with their forces, with the military. I don't see the signs for this war to over in a close by perspective. And it absolutely doesn't matter who wins the next United States elections. That matters just for the Ukrainian military support. So Putin should be, let's say, convinced to stop his military action in Ukraine. In its turn, it only might be achieved with the military power, unfortunately for now. That's why I think the world community should not press Ukraine for negotiations. No, they should press Putin for it. We see that Russia threatens not just Ukraine but the NATO members like Latvia. A spokeswoman of the Russian Foreign Ministry, Zakharova, has made the claims that Latvia applied discrimination rules against the Russian population, or Russian-speaking population, it's better to say. She warned that if Latvia doesn't cease what she calls violation of international norms, it could face the consequences in the United Nations International Court. For now, those officials threaten just with the court, but if you switch on the Russian TV, you'll see direct military threats to Latvia, Estonia, Lithuania. And also we have the statement from Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister, who said that the stability in Europe as a part of the Eurasian continent will only be achieved under condition of providing reliable, long-term security guarantees to Russia? Well, for example, as they were presented in December 2021 initiatives, just to recall, and those initiatives were to exclude many of the countries from the NATO membership, including the Baltic countries. They call it to return to the NATO borders of 1997. Russia thinks that Poland, Czech Republic, Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, Slovakia, Slovenia, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, Albania, Croatia, Montenegro, North Macedonia, Finland and Sweden should stay out of NATO. He called to do it on the Minsk Conference of Security, which happened in Minsk, Belarus. As I've told you many times, the current war in Ukraine is not about Ukraine after all. Russia wants to restore its empire, the Russian Empire or the Soviet Union, the previous borders, let's say. And they're willing to do it even using the military power. And to do it successfully, Russia doesn't need NATO to protect those countries which Russia wants to occupy. That is why they presented those initiatives in 2021 of returning to the NATO border of 1997, but West rejected or refused that. And just few months later, Russia started the full-scale war in Ukraine, showing what could it be if NATO refuses to follow the Russian demands. But after all, Russia failed with their blitzkrieg operation, and now they play a long-term game. Now it goes all about supplies, and we see some sort of the weakness of the Western politicians in this long-term war. We also see that the society in Ukraine is already tired of the war. But Ukraine and our allies do not have the other variant rather than to fight against Russia, because in other case Russia will occupy at first Ukraine and later on they'll continue threaten the other neighbors. Those signals from Russia should be taken really seriously. And you know guys, what worries me, that dictator regimes finally unite. I mean, North Korea and Russia are very united. Russia got lots of the supplies of the North Korean weaponry, and Russia also can use North Korean soldiers, for example, in the Kursk region. It's been reported that those were deployed over there. They are not yet used in the military fighting directly, but they will be. And by the time NATO should be as united as never. We heard the rhetorics, for example, from this candidate for the presidency of the United States of America, that he is not going to support the NATO allies, and moreover, he might encourage Russia to attack those if they wouldn't pay. As for me, it sounds like direct betrayal of democracy, and by doing so, this candidate may help dictators a lot. North Korea sends not just its soldiers but also generals. It's been confirmed that 3 of the generals were deployed to the Kursk Oblast as well to manipulate and command the soldiers. So it will be the entire separate regiment, actually 2 of the regiments, because for now there are 2,100 soldiers, as it is reported by media relying on military intelligence. Skydio, the company which is based in the United States and manufactured the drones and the drone parts, delivering them to Ukraine, went under the sanctions applied by China. China supplies lots of the spare parts to the company, and later on those spare parts are coming to Ukraine. Well, China blocked even the battery deliveries, so for Ukraine it will be much harder to obtain the required parts. And you know, this year China introduced the ban on their drone equipment to be sold abroad. The drones which could be used potentially for the military purposes. Well, I don't have the proofs to show you, but I think that there is the agreement between Russia and China for the continuation of the supplyment of the drones and the spare parts to the Russian Federation, despite the sanctions and the bans applied on the other countries. Because China supports Russia a lot with different kind of the equipment since the beginning of the war. Yes, Skydio produces lots of the drones, and Ukraine crucially needs those for the military, but this time, yes, there will be the problems, the issues. Not just the company makes their own drones based on the China-made components, but they also supplied some of the China-made drones directly to Ukraine. Russia tries to protect its factories, its oil refineries, and in this case it's the thermal coal power plant. Yeah, they basically put lots of the wires, cables maybe on top of the tower. Will it work? Well, I guess depends on the drone. Our allies are now thinking to arm the Seaking helicopters which they gave to Ukraine. Well, mostly it's the transport helicopter and the rescue helicopter which Ukrainian army uses a lot. And judging on the type of the operations where those helicopters are used, I think that this modification is not useless, but it will not bring lots of the profit to Ukraine. After all, it's better to provide the attack helicopters to Ukraine. That would be much better, because after all, it's the transport helicopter with limited capabilities. No matter what weapon you put on it, it will not become an Apache. It seems like NATO is getting sick of Hungary and Orban personally. There was the meeting scheduled today by the NATO officials and Hungarian officials. The top question was the issue of Hungary and how its government negotiates with Russia and China behind the back of all of the blocs, European Union and NATO especially. Since China and Russia are direct threats to the NATO countries, I think that this question is very important, but you know what? Hungarian representatives ignored the participation in that very important NATO meeting, so it went without their presence. It means that the tensions in the bloc between Hungary and other NATO representatives is very high. It means that the tensions between the NATO and Hungary are really high. I think that everyone in the European Union and NATO already got sick of the policy of Hungarian leader. Guys, again, it's not about Hungarian people, but about their stupid government. North Korea tested its huge ballistic missile. It went up and down by 7,000 kilometers. This is the launching unit, reminds me the Soviet-made actually. And here we see a couple of the photos filmed from the missile itself. Yes, the Earth is round. So here's the graph of the previous missile's trajectory. So this new missile reached 7,000 mark if we speak about the altitude. That is definitely a lot. So this missile is programmed to reach the highest altitude, but it also could be programmed to fly on a longer distance, which is actually not good for everyone around the world. And I still wonder how democratic countries allowed North Korea to have nukes and the tools to deliver the nukes for a very, very long distance. Well, obviously North Korea wouldn't be able to design those nukes or those missiles without the help of China and Russia. I think that I recorded the video around 1 week ago complaining that the United States or other allies do not supply lots of the armored vehicles to Ukraine by the time they have those decommissioned in their storage facilities. Well, we have the good news. As the Forbes says, 2,000 of the Humvees are up to be supplied to Ukraine. Well, there should be some of the maintenance before, but those are the good news for Ukraine, because Humvees are after all better than the pickup trucks collected by our volunteers. They have the better armor protection and the possibility to install some of the guns. As it's been reported, totally there are around 60,000 of those decommissioned vehicles in the United States, somewhere in the deserts. Guys, you probably mentioned that I was speaking about the United States politics for a very long time already in my videos, but the voting day is very soon and it will influence Ukraine and the rest of the world a lot. I would say even more than the United States itself this time. In the national polls, as you can see, the candidates are going very tight, and as usual, it will depend on election results in the swing states. This election campaign comes to an end and it was really outstanding. There were numerous of the events we were speaking about. Change of the candidate, the assassination attempt, lots of the scandals. It is really something special and the stakes are really high. And as usual, democracy will judge the winner and the loser. And I think that Americans personally have already decided to whom they will give their vote personally. Yeah, you know my favorite, but luckily or not luckily, I'm not the United States citizen. So after all, it is up to our American friends to decide. I would just recommend this time to think with your head clearly to whom you decide to vote. And that's how democracy actually works, no matter if you like the candidate or not, but he or she will be elected as the next United States president with a simple majority of the votes. And I'm also happy that this type of democracy also worked in Ukraine. Yeah, obviously if your candidate is not a winner, you'll get a little disappointed, as I was after the last Ukrainian presidential elections. Hopefully we'll have the presidential elections also in Ukraine. And something tells me that probably even in 2025. So guys, yes, the decisive moment is coming and we're all dependent on the president in the United States, because United States is basically the biggest economy, the country which influences the rest of the world, and as Rammstein thinks, we all live in America because we all live in this culture of Hollywood, in the culture of consuming products, and also in the culture of democracy. So after all, we're really lucky that democratic country is leading this world. And also guys, please don't forget to check my personal link for Nvidia AI. It is available in the video description below. It is the awesome, powerful tool for the video production, and I like it a lot. And also don't forget to press your like to this video. By doing so, you help me a lot. As usual, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.